I should always be a good parent. I should always win at every single event that I participate in. I should pray to God each and every day, otherwise, I'm not a good person. I shoulds are such strong statements that we use on a day to day basis, yet we fail to realize that every time we make them and we fail to follow through, we feel really guilty. Today, I'm going to help you break out of that guilt, reduce the pain that you experience when you use these statements, and ultimately create harmony in your life with yourself and other people. Hey self-helper, I should, I should, I should. You should, you should, you should. He or she should, he or she must, he or she ought to. We use these statements very often and we fail to realize the power that they have in terms of damaging not only the relationship that we have with ourselves but also our regular relationships with other people. On a day-to-day basis, we use these statements and we ignore the implication that they carry. So, what is the issue with this? Remember that when you put undue pressure on yourself using these statements, it tends to carry forward, and continually using this tends to evoke more and more performance anxiety. Imagine different situations in your own life where you have dealt with this. Think about it. Different areas of your life, these are against your beliefs. They don't comply with what you think things should actually be, and that creates chaos. That sense of control disappears whenever you experience this. You feel that without things being this way, or things happening a certain way, or someone else coming into the fray and doing things a certain way, things cannot be. When you use I should, I must, and I ought to, this typically places this undue pressure and builds it up over time and damages your performance in different areas. It creates unnecessary guilt that you would be much better without. And this applies to you using the same statements with other people as well. When people fail to comply to such statements, what happens to you is that you start to feel a lot of anger, hate, and resentment towards that person. You get so frustrated that despite my having told that person, they haven't managed to comply with what I had to say. They have failed to meet my desires. This is so troublesome to all of us in all our relationships. We don't understand that when a parent talks to their child and they fail to understand that you should study well, you should get a good job, you should find a good partner, you should listen to every single thing that I say, that pushes the other person into a corner where not only do they not want to comply with what you have to say, and probably they lose respect for you, but at the same time you're pushing someone to do something that they're not ready for. And see what it does to you. It leads you to feel emotionally aroused. You don't particularly enjoy screaming and yelling at the other person, harms the relationship, and also damages any future interactions that you may have with the other person. When you talk in such absolute terms, it creates massive problems. And so many of us fail to recognize this simple thing. When we use a certain form of language, when I keep saying I should, I must, I ought to, then it pushes us into a very small space where there is no wiggling out of the space. Think about it. Whenever we deal with different situations, do we want to have options that will allow us to make better decisions, or do we want to push ourselves into these tiny corners that create problems not only for ourselves on the inside but also our relationships with other people? Don't we want to live in harmony, for God's sakes? Tell me about it. I want to know which are these situations in which you are struggling so much. Tell me down in the comment section below. Have you been talked to this way? Have you spoken to other people this way? That's a critical thing to understand, because whenever we are brought up in an environment that is surrounded by this kind of absolutism, we experience all of these problematic emotions. We experience so much guilt when we fail to comply because we use those statements on a regular basis, and someone else, when we tell them that they have to do things a certain way, we feel that anger, frustration and resentment towards that person. It's directed towards them and how they are as human beings. We target that. That is so troublesome, and yet we continue doing the same thing over and over again. This absolutism is what needs to shift. So how do you go about doing it? Simple, as I've just said, give yourself choices. Give yourself and tell the other person that you have a choice. You can behave in more than two ways. Always give yourself three options. One option is absolute. Two options is a 50-50. Again, we aren't left with much breathing room, but three or more options really makes a big difference. That's why we allow ourselves to have plenty of options available. That way we don't have to use that I should make this choice or I should make that choice. I should be this way or I should be that way. We allow ourselves to have some breathing room. We get into this situation where, hey, I have all of these options laid out in front of me. How can I go about choosing the thing that best suits me and something that best suits the other person as well? Immediately, all of those problematic emotions start to disappear with this one simple shift of giving ourselves choices, not pushing ourselves into corners that we have to be a certain way or else life will fail to exist. Is the world going to end tomorrow if you fail to pray today? Is the world going to end for you if you fail to win the match? If you fail to be a good parent, is that going to permanently damage your relationship because you fail to do it one day? This is the problem with what we do. We absolutize everything. If absolutize is even a word. But the point here is that stop pushing yourself into corners. Stop pushing the other person into a corner because it's not healthy. We don't want to make decisions in this fashion because as humans, we are afraid of being pushed into these corners. We don't enjoy doing a lot of things that we are forced to do. So there's no point. Why put this undue pressure on ourselves or put that much pressure on someone else when they aren't ready to handle it? Why damage our own relationships? Try and find common ground with regard to how you do things in your own life. There is no necessity for you to have to create this extreme format of living. In particular, it's all about changing the situation, how you view yourself in terms of the situation and how the situation actually is, and finding common ground. Create a bridge between the two. Change your language, create options for yourself, give options to other people when you talk to them, and immediately everything starts to fall into place. Not only does the relationship that you have with yourself change, but it also changes the relationship that you have with other people. It also allows you to perform better. You have a failing business, you don't have any options left. That's what you tell yourself. I should give up the business. There is no way out. Think about it. Find some way out. Look at the problem as something that demands a solution, something that requires you to have to think out of the box. So what you should be doing is looking for a solution. You should be trying to understand that this is not healthy. That's where it comes from. So giving yourself a choice and shifting your language by saying, instead of I should or you should, say I want to or do you want to? Because when it comes from a want, a desire, immediately it creates a sense of ease. Think about it. If you shift how you talk in different situations, it immediately changes the situation. Super powerful. Of course, this doesn't apply in every single area of your life, but majority of situations, if we implement this, we change our language, we try to find common ground, and we avoid using I should, I must, or you should and you must, then our self-talk and how we talk to other people changes. And this is one of the best shifts you can make in your life. So if you're going to use this in a particular situation that you find problems in, comment down below. If you found the video useful, make sure you leave it a thumbs up and tell me what you want to see in future videos, because each and every day I am dedicated to making you the best version of yourself in every single area of your life, be it performance related, motivation related, or empowerment related. I have you covered each and every day of the week. So, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe and hit bell notifications. Never miss another video because you don't want to. Trust me on that. Check out all of the videos that I've made for you down in the box below. And of course, this is Vikram signing off, and I'll see you in the next session.